If there is any work which he ought never to slight, and do in a careless fashion, it is the great work of working out his own salvation.
So it is if we believe that our soul is of chief significance. We continue today's devotion looking at the responsibility we have as Christians to produce fruit in harmony with the profession of our faith. And we begin to see that this is not a passive or automatic process, but one that requires all diligence and commitment. Listen with us.
While reading through the Bible in a year may be a great achievement, it may profit us more to daily take in a small portion of the Word and chew it well, so that we might digest it fully. If we do this consistently, we will find that our knowledge of God and of His ways will increase, and our relationship with Him will become more intimate. Eventually, we will find that our propensity to sin will decrease, and we will increasingly manifest the fruit of the Spirit in our lives. Another thing we must do is spend time seeking the face of God. We must pray for an increasing knowledge of God, for a greater measure of the Holy Spirit, and for a greater understanding of His Word. If we believe in God and all that He has done for us, why do we spend so little time with Him? Why do we not long for Him more and more? Paul is encouraging the Philippians to see to it that they make progress in their Christian lives. It is as if Paul says, don't stop halfway. Go on until the work of salvation is fully wrought out in you. No Christian should be satisfied with anything less than the full benefits of the gospel. John Charles Ryle once remarked that if there is anything which a man ought to do thoroughly, authentically, truly, honestly, and with all of his heart, it is the business of his soul. If there is any work which he ought never to slight and do in a careless fashion, it is the great work of working out his own salvation. Beloved, whatever we do that pertains to our walk with the Lord, let us endeavor to do it well. Let us endeavor to be authentic and thorough. Let us be honest and true. Our salvation is to be worked out. We are not to work out our salvation from the guilt of sin. Christ has already done that. We are to work out our salvation from the power of sin. God has in effect worked that in. He has broken the yoke of sin. It lives and struggles, but it is dethroned, and our effort must be to keep it down. A person may be saved from the guilt of sin and yet not be saved from the power of pride or anger or lust or dishonesty. Our salvation is not complete until we are saved from these. We must fight them until we are victorious. Brothers and sisters, it is important for us to understand that the godly virtues and fine qualities of Christian character are not put into our lives in the same way that we hang lovely pictures on the walls of our houses to beautify them. No, these godly virtues and fine qualities of Christian character must be wrought into our lives as we work out our own salvation, although it is God who works in us both to will and to work. For example, patience is not put into our lives as one puts into his or her home a new piece of furniture. We do not merely receive patience as a gift from God. Patience is a lesson to be learned through many trials and watchful self-discipline. Christ is the teacher, but we are the students, and it is the students who must learn the lesson. Not even Jesus Christ will learn it for us. He will not spare us the effort, nor can the lessons be made easy for us. There is a price to be paid for patience, and we must pay the price ourselves. The same is true of all the elements of a godly character. The believer is always in school as long as he or she is in the world. Remember that Paul is not teaching self-help salvation. This verse teaches us that because we are already saved, because God has already entered our lives in the person of the Holy Spirit, because we have the Holy Spirit's power at work within us, we are to make every effort to express this salvation in our conduct. Charles Swindoll provides us with another illustration to help us to understand what Paul is calling believers to carry out. When a musician has a fine piece of music placed before him or her, he or she knows that the music is not their masterpiece. The music is the composer's gift to them, but it then becomes the task of the musician to work it out, to give it sound and expression and beauty as he or she applies his or her skills to the composition. When this is done, the composition reaches its completed purpose and thrills the hearts of those who listen. The salvation that we have received is God's gift to us. Salvation is His great masterpiece, but it is our responsibility and privilege to work out this masterpiece in our lives so that the Lord may be glorified.
Even Jesus had to say daily, "Nevertheless, not my will, but thine." It was a constant submission to scriptures and the will of God. How much more we need this. Until next time, think on these things.